Hello everyone. Various institutes across the country have started the process of going back to offline classes and exams. And here at IIT Kharagpur also, it has been recently declared officially that at the end of this semester, we are going to have offline exams. Now, this news has been greeted to by many in the student community with a collective gasp of disappointment. The general mood and feeling is that while the pandemic was bad for almost everything, but for one aspect, increasing grades in exams, it was definitely like a blessing. How did that happen? How did the pandemic help to increase the grades? Well, we can posit a number of reasons for this. One could say that perhaps when the students went back to their parents under the attentive care or at home, maybe because of the food, maybe because of parental love and affection, they became slightly more disciplined. They suffered from less distractions and then ended up getting more marks. But I think such kind of reasoning is basically shying away from the actual truth, which is that grades increased because of rampant and flagrant cheating. Now, when I say rampant and flagrant cheating, what I mean is that some kind of nexus was created among some of these cheating students, not all, mind you, and we are going to come to honest students very quickly now. This nexus of students, what they did was divide up the questions in an examinations amongst themselves, solve it individually, collect the solutions, and then share the solutions through mail, WhatsApp, or Discord. In some extreme situations, some professors have even reported that they suspect that some kind of professional help over the internet was also taken by some students, by some unscrupulous students. Now, the sad truth is that many of the professors were well aware of all of these things, but they could not do anything in the absence of hard, irrefutable evidence. But it's not really true that we did not do anything. We did take some measures to curb the effects of cheating, but truth be told, what happened was that we realized that no matter what we did, it always seemed like the cheating students would always be one step ahead of us. So on and on we went in this endless game of chore police. Now, some of you may be laughing at all of this and perhaps it's a little bit funny, but if you think about it for a moment, don't you think that this kind of vitiated the entire atmosphere of learning and evaluation? And you know what? Who are the worst sufferers in this fiasco? It's the honest students amongst you. So, and you suffered in various ways. The direct way in which you suffered was that while on the one hand you were studying very honestly for your exams, trying to perform the best in those exams, you could see all around you students who were perhaps less capable than you and perhaps who had goofed off enormously and lazily all throughout the semester. They were getting more marks and higher grades than you. There was another indirect mode of suffering. As I said earlier, some of the professors had taken some measures to curb the cheating, and one of these measures was to set harder questions so that even though some of the cheating students collaborated amongst themselves, they would still find it hard to answer the individual questions. Now, you can imagine if the questions were set in such a way that in spite of collaboration, they would find it harder. Imagine if an honest student trying to answer these questions on their own without taking anyone else's help, how much harder will it be for them? Therefore, this decision of going back to offline exams, I think it will be most welcomed not by the professors but by these honest students. There was actually another kind of suffering which the honest students had gone through. So, initially, many of these students had tried to stay honest and not take part in any of these unfair means. But as time went by, they saw that they were getting repeatedly beaten by these dishonest students. So ultimately, they just gave up. I mean, you can only take so much damage and you can give so much sacrifice. Ultimately, they also became dishonest. So they went against their core nature of honesty and integrity. So that's why I think this kind of an offline exam will be a much, much welcome respite from all these darker things. So this is about the state of affairs. Now let's talk about the consequences of these offline exams. I believe, and this is quite obvious, that during these offline exams, what is going to happen is that these students, these cheating students who had become so much reliant on WhatsApp messages and Discord and whatnot, they are going to finally get caught out. Their grades are going to decrease. And basically, it's game over for them and for all those false 9-pointers out there. But what are the long-term consequences of this? So these cheating students, their academic record, it's going to show up a peculiar trend. Before the pandemic hit, their scores would be low. During the time of the online exams, their scores would suddenly increase. And then once we go back to the offline exams, their grades would again decrease. So this kind of a trend in the academic record, it will be a clear and unmistakable indication that these students were not just academically less capable, but they were also dishonest. All right, their overall grades may increase, may get boosted up a little bit because of what happened during the online exams, the higher grades that they managed to get through cheating. But this trend of low, high, low, this will remain forever etched into their academic record, and this is an academic disgrace that they'll have to carry all throughout their life. Now, some of you may be thinking that, all right, so what? I mean, it's the ultimate grade point average that matters. But no, I'm quite sure that in the coming years, when it comes for academic kind of positions and academic interviews, when your transcript is actually looked at by the professors, they will look at this trend and you will get caught out. All right. Some of you, some of the cheating students, they might be thinking that they somehow managed through unfair means during the online exams, and they will continue like this during the offline exams also, and they will manage to get higher grades. And here you are completely wrong. Okay, they'll be completely wrong on this. You see, during the online exams, the professors, truth be told, were completely inexperienced. Okay, we did not have sufficient experience to catch the cheating and the various unfair means. The students were ahead of us, these cheating students. But when it comes to offline exams, there is a wealth of experience that we can rely on, handed down to us over generations and generations. And don't forget that all of us have experience as students ourselves in these offline exams. So we know all the inside tricks, the various kinds of unfair means, various permutations and combinations of unfair means and malpractices the students have done. First, by looking at those kinds of cheating students when we were students ourselves, and then as faculty members, through our invigilation duty, we have come across so many different kinds of these cases that we know all the tricks that the cheating students employ. So there is a distinct possibility that you will be caught, unlike the case of online exams. Furthermore, there are extremely stringent and formal measures in place to handle with such kinds of unfair means. For example, here at IIT Kharagpur itself, if a student is caught cheating, he'll have to face a disciplinary committee, a formal disciplinary committee. His answer script would be sealed in an envelope and sent to that disciplinary committee. Then the student has to face the disciplinary committee, and some kind of punishment will be handed out to him appropriate to the kind of malpractice that he has committed. So it can happen that the subject registration of the student gets cancelled. It's a very, very common thing. Okay, and the student has to wait till the next semester, or perhaps even up to a year when that subject is offered again, so that effectively he gets at least a semester and sometimes even a year back. Okay, so these kinds of extreme things can happen. And I'm not just making this up, okay? These kinds of things have happened earlier. Now, these are all dark and negative things that I have been talking about. I want to end this video on some kind of a positive note. Okay, so what I want to believe is that once the offline exams start, even some of the students, at least some of the students who had engaged in these kinds of unfair means, now what they will think is that they have to maintain their reputation. And my hope is that at least some of them will start studying very seriously, if not for anything else, just to save their face in front of their friends. Okay, and it's something like this. They know very well that if they start getting less marks suddenly, lower grades suddenly, they will get caught out in front of their friends, and they will be at the receiving end of various kinds of merciless jokes and taunts, and they want to avoid that. So, so this is my hope, okay, that even some of the so-called bad students will now become good, okay, but who knows, maybe I'm being a hopeless optimist. Okay, but on this note, I will end this video. Thank you very much.